going with it. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump into the ad account, and we'll kind of go through, because one of the biggest things with Facebook ads, and it's one of the hardest things to do right now with everything going on with iOS, 14 and up, with all the changes that they've made on tracking, is being able to make sure that you're getting, really motivated leads. And so we want to make sure that on that end that we're scaling for motivation. Because ultimately, I mean, you're kind of experiencing this right now, right? If you have a $300 course, we spent $300 and we don't get a sale, then it was just still $300. It's not fully wasted because we generated lots of leads, but it's not fully, helpful to the business either, because there's no ROI coming from it, right? Yeah. And there's a couple of ways that we can see how we can use that money, but let's focus just on the Facebook ad side. So our biggest thing is going to be scaling for motivation. And we want to look at these and kind of see where that's going. So I'm going to come a little bit closer here so I can see your screen really well. And let's go ahead. Sorry. What I'd like to do is, if you don't mind, I'll just take control and I'll start manipulating the screen a little bit.
Sorry, JT. Do you know if is it possible for me to record it as well?
I can send you the recording if you'd like.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, perfect. 1 sec. Sorry, I haven't used Zoom in a while. How do I give you control?
I just sent you a request.
Okay, cool. Yeah, there you go.
So first things first is I always want to switch this up a little bit, just so that we can see everything really well. So we're just going to customize these real fast. So I always want to reach up to the top. And the big reason why I'm looking at reach and impressions still, a lot of people won't look at them anymore, but this will show us kind of some trends based on your spend, like really how much it's costing you. Because when we have a higher reach to impression rate, so more of our reach, like more of our impressions are being reached, then that's just going to help us understand a little bit more about if our budget, like, is actually being used correctly, if Facebook is seeing it as being a well-engaged ad, all that good stuff. So let me just move these real fast. We're going to look at some of the clicks, which is going to help us with our click-through rate and our conversion rates. And then you said you were optimizing for leads. We'll just pull up the results. And are all these good? It sounds like you're doing a webinar, so all these, I assume, are going through a website, like a landing page?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's do cost per result. Let's do amount spent. And then I always like to look at frequency too. Sometimes that can help explain rising cost per lead. Essentially, the way that the algorithm works, right, is Facebook is trying to find the people who are going to convert at the lowest cost, and whatever that conversion is what we've set up to optimize for. So in your case, it's a lead opt-in. And so it's trying to find the lowest cost of that. And it's just trying to find more and more people who are like the ones that are getting the best cost per result. And it's going to continue to do that. So sometimes we may have to offset this when we notice that, like, the majority of our leads aren't good leads. We may have to change up that, how we're, where in the process that we're at, that's showing us the indicator that, like, hey, this is the problem. And then we need to make that change so that we get more motivated leads. Even though the cost is going to rise, we're just going to see that conversion rate go up, right? So looking here, let's see. So the first thing we want to do, reach to impression rates. So typically, let's pop over. I'm going to look at it from a campaign level, and then we'll kind of jump in a little bit further. And this is maximum. Is this the current one that you've been running?
That's the current one, yeah.
Okay. And so we'll kind of look at this one first, just because it has the lowest opt-in, and then this looks like the cold America audience. And then, so what's the difference between the cold audience America?
So I just meant cold as in, like, they're not familiar with me, but the bottom one, they don't have any interest, and then the higher one has trading and investing interests.
Okay. Awesome. So this one's the trading investing interest, that we got that labeled right there. Okay, cool. Perfect. And, this is, and you are following a proper strategy structure for campaigns. Right now, a lot of people are seeing the best results doing a top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel approach. And so what that looks like is top of funnel being broad but changing age demographic and gender. So doing the one that you're doing right now, with males in between the ages of, I think you said 18 to 40.
Yeah.
That's a proper strategy for your top of funnel. Then your middle funnel, using interest based, proper strategy for your middle funnel. There's some things that we can tweak inside there that I think could help you overall lower the costs. But I'll try to go through this fairly quickly so we can kind of look at all of it, to kind of give you a good idea of different places that you could explore.
Sure.
So looking here, we've got on the first set 22 or 27,000 versus 55,000. So you're sitting about, what is that? Like a 45% or so, which anything over 40%, you're in a decent range. I like to see in between a 50 to 60% range. And the way that we increase, so the first step of increasing your reach to impression rate is looking at engagement on the ads. The more engagement that we can get on those ads, the better your reach to frequency rate is going to be. So this can obviously change month to month. You've only been running it for a couple of days, so I wouldn't worry too much. But you just know, when you break this down, you're paying for 55,000 impressions, but only 27,000 of those impressions are actually getting in front of people. So Facebook's just basically telling you, hey, if you increase your engagement, you are going to get a better, you're going to, like, your money's going to go farther. So that could be one thing to just think about in your ads, is looking to see which one is actually getting the best engagement and focusing down on it. And we'll look at that in just a sec. I want to look first at, oh, sorry. Did you have a question?
Sorry. So impressions is how many times it's shown, but reach is how many times, so on screen. Okay.
Yep. So, and now this in Facebook is very vague about this. And so the number of times that your ad was on the screen, right? But that does not mean that it was actually in a position where they could see the ad. If we go over to reach, you can interpret that as, so the number of accounts, center accounts that saw your ads at least once, right?
Okay.
So they at least saw the ad. So that's where, like, when you're doing like YouTube ads versus like Facebook ads, this is a big difference, right? Impressions just basically means it gets loaded to an ad queue and it's potentially on their screen. Now, it could be far in the corner. There's no way that it, like, is basically saying that they didn't see it, but it was on their screen. So it got loaded to their like queue or their feed or whatever.
Okay.
Reach, right, is going to be that they actually saw it. And so and Facebook builds off of impressions. So we're just trying to make sure we get this number as close as possible, because that means that our ad is being well spent. So yeah, something to think about. Link clicks. So I always like to look at the link clicks. All clicks is going to be anything like clicking to your accounts, clicking to all these different places. You can do the math and you can look to see, like, hey, what's like link clicks versus like interaction clicks, and decide, like, versus interacting on your ad or visiting your page engagement. And you can look at all those and kind of break those down. But I like to first look at link clicks because we're driving to a landing page. So I want to know really, like, what is our conversion rate when it comes to this? So looking here, we got 294 clicks out of 90. So we'll find our click-through rate. So you're sitting at what? That's like a 30% click-through rate. So that's really awesome. Our conversion rate, sorry. So your conversion rate is really good. Most people sit somewhere around like a 7 to 15% on Facebook. So your conversion rate's doing well to the audience that you're speaking to. So we know that there's probably not a problem on the converting side or on the ad side when we're talking about the perspective that is generating, getting the person to be motivated enough to fill out their information. Knowing that your webinar is not showing to a ton of people could be an indicator that in that transfer process, or, moving them into the webinar, maybe the first few minutes of the webinar, there could be some places that maybe you work on just to try to keep them more captivated throughout the webinar. But we at least know that in the conversion process, it's okay. Now, when it's talking about Facebook ads, if we know that the conversion rate is doing well, then we can kind of say, well, then if our audience isn't motivated, then our audience may be the contributing factor that's causing that unmotivation. So Do you know, and this could be like, because you said you've already tested a couple of these other audiences. Were the 9 people that watched the webinar, I think you said it was 9, right? It was like 5 that watched full 100%.
Yeah.
What did you know which campaign those came from?
They came from this one.
From just this one? And then
just this
these
one.
ones didn't have any webinar views.
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, sounds good. So let's pop inside of here. Okay, and so we're running just to this one audience, and this was just this was broad with interest or without interest.
This is with interest. Sorry, it says Cold Audience America, but it's actually, I just forgot to when I duplicated, I forgot to rename it. It's actually in the UAE Emirates.
Okay.
It's when Facebook gave me that message saying to merge all 4 campaigns due to audience overlap and whatnot. It kind of was implying that it was going to merge them, but it just seems like it turned the other ones off, increased the budget on this one to $70 a day, and just let this one keep going.
Yeah. So Facebook's always going to favor like a larger audience just because of this number one reason that we just talked about with like the impressions versus reach, right? Because since they bill for impressions, the more billable impressions that they have, the more potential they see in that account. Yeah. And that's why when they give you that like little thing, it says like ways to improve to make sure your ad performs better. They're like increase budget or increase audience. Yeah. And that's basically just increasing the potential that Facebook can make from that campaign. So now those aren't always 100% accurate, but one thing that I have seen that does work is combining those audiences together. But the way that I would do it is a little bit different than the way that you would do it, that the way that Facebook did it. Sorry, the way that Facebook told you to do it. So the way that I would do this is I would actually set this up similar to how you have it here. So I would have the top of funnel and then the middle of funnel and then a bottom of funnel. So you could combine the America and the Emirates together. I personally would keep them separate like the way that you started. But what I would just try to do is I would try to increase budget on them and spend like a percentage on each one. And the way that you can also like kind of change this so that it works more in your favor, so your budget goes farther, is in your top of funnel. You don't have to do 100% like drive to the webinar, like just the broad audience, anyone between the ages of 18 to 40. I don't think it did bad though. So I don't think you have any problems driving to it. Cause when we look at the numbers, I mean, it was only running for a little bit, it looks like, right? Probably 2 days.
Yeah. 2 days pretty much. Yeah.
So I would give it a little bit longer if you're willing to test this budget out. But typically Facebook's learning period is 14-day period. So coming in at like a $9.37 opt-in, yeah, it is a lot more, 3 times more expensive than combining all of the Arab Emirates together and just increasing the budget by a lot, but it may still be worth it. The other option you have is changing what the event is that you're optimizing for. So what a lot of people will do, I don't suggest doing like link clicks or anything like that, but what a lot of people will do is they'll say, hey, I'm going to have a top of funnel, which is going to be like more of my engagement audience building piece that's going to help me optimize my content. And I'm going to use all my content that's doing really, really well on Instagram, the ones that are getting the 50 saves, like you said. And I'm just going to promote that content on just solely Instagram Reels. And I'm going to try to get those people. I'm going to track how many of them click back into my profile. And then I'm going to take that audience and I'm going to create a lookalike audience from it. So I know all the people who are engaging with that ad on a high level. So maybe it's a video views watching. We're tracking how many video views they're actually watching. So like a percentage of like 75%, something really high. And we're going to use that as a lookalike inside of our middle funnel up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to combine multiple points of interest. So we'll have our interest ad set, we'll have our lookalike audiences, and then we're going to target both of those together on a campaign budget. And that gives Facebook a little bit larger of audiences to work with so they can kind of separate out the budget that they want. But it will also allow us to kind of scale to know which audience is becoming the most motivated. And on those, what we're going to do is we're going to track each one with each ad specifically with a certain URL tracking code. That way we know when they go through our CC. Do you use CCP 360 or do you, what's your, you do? Okay. So when they go through that CCP 360 account, it's going to track and spit out, hey, this is the ad that sent it here. And then we can see webinar views based off of that. And then we can start focusing on which audience is really performing best. So that would be like campaign structure potential that you could look at. When it comes to the actual ads, I do want to look to see like which ads have been working best for you and how your ad structure has been going. So let's pop open one of these. So it looks like you're just using a single video ad, which is good. There's nothing wrong with this, but something that may help keep the costs down on Facebook and help increase your performance is going to be using a dynamic ad in the beginning of running new ad sets and new campaign. You can find that. Have you ever used a dynamic ad before?
No. So do you mean like one where Facebook will choose whether it's show the video or just like the image and blah, blah, blah?
Yeah. So I always test only images together and only videos together in dynamic ad sets. And that's just because Facebook will 90% of the time favor the video, because the way that Facebook ranks engagement is a 3-second view is a high engaging piece on Facebook versus like if you throw an image, they have to click on the ad somewhere for it to be an engagement. So naturally, there's, Facebook automatically plays the ads on Instagram and Facebook. So you'll have a lot more 3-second views. So it's just going to put more money towards the videos no matter what. So it's kind of a faulted test if you do videos all together and images all together. So the way that I do it is I set up a dynamic creative. And I like to start with video. So we'll pull up a couple different video options. You can even take the reels that you've been doing and use those and add call to actions to them. Or you can edit those reels and maybe at the end throw a call to action or however. I haven't seen the reels, so I don't know how much they'll work with your message to send to a course.
Yeah.
But those would be good things to test. And then inside of here, so when you click that little button down there that was dynamic creative, it will pull up and you'll be able to just add multiple pieces of video, and Facebook will automatically test to see which one works best. And then what I like to do is I like to use 3 videos, 2 pieces of text. So you come down here and do 2 different text options and then 2 headlines. Typically with descriptions, you're probably not going to see them a whole ton. So you can leave a description in there if you want, or you can take it out. It's up to you. And then I would just choose one call to action. So whatever call to action that you want. And then down here, we would want to use this build a URL parameter.
Okay.
And basically all you would do is you come in here and you can list the campaign. You can list the, so this on the top, I usually just do this. So I put like Facebook. And then the campaign medium, I use whatever I'm using for targeting. So this would be like interest. And then the campaign name, I don't know what it was. I won't apply this, but just for an example. And then the content, like dynamic ad, right? And then that way we're at least tracking this a little bit more, especially when we have multiple ad sets running. This is going to help you a lot to determine which audience is actually the one that's watching the most webinars, because you'll be able to come back to the campaign medium and track that inside of CCP 360. And it'll show you, hey, these are the audiences that are watching 50% of the webinar. These ones are the ones that have watched 25% of the webinar, because you'll be able to filter your contacts based off of this campaign medium coming through Facebook ads.
Okay.
So that's kind of, and then you would just click apply and this would add it to your URL. And
I don't need to do it. CC 360 will recognize that automatically.
Yep. So just inside your contact filters, you can go down to UTMs, and they have the UTMs that you can select, and then it'll show that. And if you click on a contact, so like, let's say you filter it by just people who do like 25% views or whatever, you can add another field to your like contacts, like in the grid that will show you what UTM parameters they came from. Or if you select into one contact itself, you can look down at the bottom right and it'll show you the campaign UTM source, all that. that it
Oh,
came through. And then that way, because right now it's just going to show you social media, and that's going to have all these random numbers, which are the post IDs for all this. But now
yeah,
we're just naming them. So that way that we can just determine, it's like data that we can understand. So
yeah,
yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So that would be like where I would start. Is I would say I would do a top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel approach. It doesn't look like you have done any retargeting. I think it would
No,
be interesting to do some retargeting for you. So I would say, it might be worthwhile knowing that, because it sounds, how many followers have you increased in
uh,
the last month, you said?
uh, I mean, I've gone from 0 to 2,500 in maybe 3 months.
Which is awesome. So that audience could be really useful. So I would create a
Yeah,
lookalike audience of that. I would retarget that audience. I think there's also some room for you for changing some of these, like where you're converting your first initial like response with these people. Like something that we do over on on Course Creator Pro is we advertise, one of our top of funnel campaigns is to get somebody to DM us. And so we'll actually promote the ads just to convert them as a message ad on solely like Instagram Reels. And so we're just sending, or all of Instagram, depends on what we're doing with that style of media. But we can
mm,
just promote just on Instagram and get those people to DM us whatever word, and then the CCP 360 will automatically send them the link. Sorry, we're got 10 minutes left. Send us the link to go directly over into the webinar. And then you
yeah,
could see kind of what that looks like. That would also, if you're kind of scared that the reason why a lot of people aren't watching the webinar is because they're like interested, but they're at work or whatever, they would then have a link stored somewhere else, and you could set
yeah,
up automations on that to just continue to send them on Instagram, where maybe they're checking that more frequently than the email that they gave you on the like
yeah,
the webinar login page. So
mm,
there's potential there too in the follow-up sequences that maybe that could help increase the amount of engagement you're getting with them, that would push them into watching the webinar in their spare time.
yeah,
Um,
true.
but the reason why the Course Creator Pro guys like, and why we like doing it together on those top of funnel ads, is because the Instagram DMs are going to be easier for Instagram to track, which just allows the algorithm to optimize for it better. You'll notice that oftentimes, even though we're doing, we've got like the pixel over there, we're using like all of the data sets and everything that Facebook offers, like their conversions API. Even though we have all of it integrated, it still won't track it 100% correctly.
Yeah,
So whenever we have an event that happens on Instagram or on Facebook, the Facebook ads can track it a lot better, so they can optimize for it a lot better. So that could be another potential campaign that you could use on the top of funnel that could help
yeah,
lower the cost of your leads that you're generating, and maybe increase your your webinar view rate. So
sure. When you say top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, what exactly do you mean by that?
yeah,
Sorry,
so
it's
top of
a basic
funnel,
question.
sorry. So top of funnel is going to be a broad audience that only is changed by the area and the
Okay,
age demographic, and you can also include gender. And so this is from Facebook itself. So Facebook likes working with really broad audiences like that. So they consider that like your top of funnel campaign.
okay,
Your middle funnel campaign is going to be more designated. So still going to be a cold audience, but it's going to be audiences that are like cut down. So things like your interest based, or a lookalike audience, or like maybe you pull like a list from somewhere. All those things are going to be what we would consider middle funnel audiences. So they're going to just be narrowed
okay,
to be smaller, but they're still a cold audience. And then you have your bottom of funnel audiences, which are going to be all your retargeting audiences,
okay.
website views, engagement on your Instagram, that kind of stuff. Have you ever created those types of audiences before?
No, that was my thing to figure out this week, how I can do retargeting and stuff. So,
Let me show you.
okay.
So you're just going to come in here and you're going to find your audiences. So let's see, it's not in the top. So let's come down a little bit. Let's see if we can find it. So right here. So we'll pull this up. And then inside of here is where you can start creating them. You can create them inside the ad set itself, but I like creating them inside of here because then I can, it just is a little bit easier to create multiple different variations, lookalikes, all that kind of stuff. So just come in, you click create audience, click custom audience, and then you'll have your website. You have your Facebook page, you have Instagram. Let's see right here. If you have any customer lists, so this could be like past email lists. We update this with like customer information. So that way we can exclude people who have purchased the course in the past from our targeting, all that kind of good stuff. So this is where you would do all that.
Okay.
Yeah. So like if you did website, for example, you just click next and then it's going to pop up your pixel and then you're going to select how many days. It lets you go up to 180 days, which is what I would suggest. So I would do 180 days back and then you would just type in website 180. And then it's your website pixel audience for the last 180 days. And then do you want me to just create this real quick?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. So, and then you just click create. And then you can apply this to any of your ads inside of your audiences.
Okay.
You can create lookalikes from all these, which I would suggest doing and using that inside of a separate middle funnel ad set. So you would have two ad sets, one for your interests, one for your lookalike audiences. And lookalike audiences, you just do the same thing. You just come in here to lookalike, and then you're going to come in here, and then you're going to use other sources, and then you're going to find your audience that you're selecting. So if you did an Instagram one, it would be inside here, Facebook page, custom list, any of that. And then Facebook suggests larger audiences. So they suggest 3% audiences. I find that 3% audiences are a little bit large. I like to start with 1%, but if like my ad is still not optimizing, then sometimes I'll go up to 3% and test it. So I'll create you could do whatever you'd like, but you do have to create this right now. It looks like your ad account is still on the past UI, which is fine. Facebook updates those kind of at different times, but you do need to select an audience location. So these would have to be specific to whatever you're doing. So if this was the United States one, then you need to make sure that this is specific to one specific to the United States, one specific to you said you were in the United Arab Emirates, right? So that's kind of how you would set that up. And so you'd have different lookalikes for different ad sets based off of that location that you're targeting.
Can I specifically just target my Instagram followers, my 2,500 Instagram followers?
Yep. So you go like this, create audience, and then you're going to come into custom audiences, and then you're going to go to Instagram account. Then you click next. And then this is where you can change this. So you have all this stuff down here. So you could be like, anyone who saved any post or ad, who started following this professional account, who visited this professional account's profile, who engaged with anything. This one right here is everyone who engaged with this account, which means if they did any of these options, then you would be targeting them.
Even if they're not following me, even if they just like watched one of my videos at one point and kept going.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
So yeah, you could do any of these. So I'll let you create this one when you get a chance.
Sure.
But yeah, you could select any of these. The only thing is you're just going to want to remember when we come back to Ads Manager, show you real quick before we have to end this call, but you know how to add these audiences to the actual ad?
I mean, to a new ad, I guess.
Here, I'll just show you real fast inside of here. I won't save it or anything, so you won't have to worry about it. But so if you were inside of here, you would come down. You're gonna come down to your audiences, and then, sorry, it's a little small, so it's hard for me to be able to see. So you're using an actual audience that you've saved inside of here. So, but you would just add it to your custom audiences. And so you would come in and select your custom audience. So it would just give you an option inside of here if it wasn't published that says custom audiences, just the same as it listed there. And then you would just click the audiences that you wanted to target with that specific ad set.
Okay. JT, before we end, is it right to like just do a new campaign for every kind of audience and ad? Like you mentioned the term ad set. Do you normally have like multiple ad sets within a campaign, or what's the best way to do it?
Yep. So I like to have a top of funnel campaign that just has the one ad set, which is the broad. So you don't need more ad sets than that. The middle funnel campaign, I like to have multiple ad sets because I like to break up. So like I have interest based and then lookalikes. I'll combine all my lookalikes. My interest based, I will just target them by themselves, like all the interest combined. That usually gives you the biggest spread, so that you have basically like the biggest audience that you're testing per like genre of audience that you're sending ads to. So if interest base is converting better or lookalike audiences are converting better. And then bottom of funnel, I like to combine all my bottom of funnel retargeting together because it's going to be your smallest ad set. So typically Facebook's not going to be able to optimize it the best.
Okay.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
All right.
I just want to say thanks before we cut off, man.
Yeah.
I really appreciate your time. I mean, that's very generous of you.
Yeah, no problem, man. Feel free to message me if you have any questions.
Yeah, I will do.
All right.
And,
sounds good.
Yeah, if there's anything I can do for you, let me know.
All right. Sounds good, man. We'll do.
All right. Thanks, JT.
Talk to you later.
Bye. Bye.